Farming fans is an important part of Uma Musume for many players. If you are in a club in Uma Musume and are trying to be competitive, you will need to farm as many fans as possible to contribute to your club's rank and get those juicy monthly rewards. Alternatively, you may be trying to complete some of the one-time missions that were mentioned in my previous video about earning carrots. Or, and this is the best reason of all, you may simply be pushing to get your favorite horse girl to 100 million fans so that you can display her unique title and show the world your dedication. Whatever your reason is, this guide will help you reach those goals. The TLDR version of how to farm fans in Uma Musume is to complete trainings in career mode with a special focus placed on winning the Japan Derby, also known as the Tokyo Yushun, both years of the Japan Cup, and both years of the Arima Kinen, all while running a support card deck with a high fan bonus. It is pretty straightforward at its core. However, there are some intricacies that are worth being aware of, and knowing these can help focus your efforts and accelerate the fan earning process much faster. This will be the topic of the rest of the video, so let's get into it. There are two primary ways to earn fans in Uma Musume. These are winning races in career mode, and this is where the bulk of your farming will take place, and including a specific Uma Musume in your team trials races. This provides a marginal amount of fans, and I will cover it briefly at the end. Let's start with how to earn fans in career mode, since this is by far the best method to do so. First, we should break down how fans earned from career mode races are calculated. Each race in Uma Musume provides a set number of fans if you win. This is the number that is displayed when you preview a race in the game and is referred to as the base fan level. This base fan level is then increased based on two factors, which determines the total fans earned. The first factor is a random increase from 1 to 9%, and the second factor is the total percentage fan bonus provided from your support card deck. This makes the formula for fans earned from a race to be calculated as the race's base fan level times 1 plus the random percentage increase times 1 plus the total percentage fan bonus from your support card deck. For example, winning the Japan Cup, which has a base fan level of 30,000, while using a support card deck with a fan bonus of 70%, would grant between 51,000 and 56,000 fans. We cannot change the random factor, but we do control what races we participate in and what support cards we bring, so let's focus on those factors going forward. First, we need to decide which races we decide to run in. In general, the number of base fans that a race grants is determined by the grade of that race. You can gain small amounts of fans for winning open races, but base fans earned increases as you climb the ranks to G3, G2, and G1 races, with G1 races providing the most fans. However, in regards to potential fans earned, not all G1 races are the same. In particular, there are 3 races that you absolutely want to run if you are farming fans. The first of these races is the Tokyo Yushun or Japan Derby. This race takes place in late May of the classic year and is a mid-distance race at 2,400 meters on the turf course in Tokyo. Winning this race provides 20,000 base fans, placing it towards the top of the G1 race pool. The second notable race is the Japan Cup, which takes place in late November of both the classic and senior years. That means you get to run this race up to 2 times, which adds a ton of fans. This race is the exact same length and is on the same course as the Tokyo Yushun, making it very accessible. The upside for this race is that it provides a base level of 30,000 fans, which ties it at the highest amount in the game. The final race that you want to make sure that you run in is the Arima Kinen. The Arima Kinen also takes place in both the classic and senior years and is held in late December of each year. This race is classified as a long-distance race and is run on the turf at Nakayama Racecourse at a distance of 2,500 meters. Winning the Arima Kinen also gets you a base 30,000 fans, so you want to run this race twice if possible. These 3 races are the high-priority races in fan farming, and you want to run them as often as your trainee allows. Some trainees will run these races by default, but if these are not a part of their required objectives, you can simply elect to run these races optionally as long as the trainee isn't required to run a different race in that period. With high priority races in mind, we can now consider what trainee we want to use to farm fans via races. You will want to consider that horse girl's aptitude, career mode objective races, and ease of training before farming with that horse girl. The aptitude requirement is simple. Since all of the most important farming races take place at middle and long distances, if you are seeking to farm fans, you will want to pick a trainee that has an A aptitude for both of these distances. B aptitudes can work, but you want to boost those to A rank if possible for consistency. Next, you want to review that trainee's career objective races. If your trainee is already scheduled to participate in some of the high priority races, it can really reduce the mental load of having to remember to run them optionally. It is possible with experience to develop a rhythm in training that can make it easier to remember to run optional high priority races, but it can also be easy to forget to do so and train by accident when you should have run a race. You will also need to make sure that your trainee does not have required races that conflict with the Tokyo Yushun, Japan Cup, and Arima Kinen. For example, if your horse girl is required to run in the Japan Oaks in Classic Year late May, that would conflict with the Tokyo Yushun. Or if she is required to participate in the Mile Championship in late November, that would interfere with your ability to run in the Japan Cup. Missing one of these priority races for the Oaks or Mile Championship doesn't completely ruin your ability to farm fans, as you will still earn a good amount of fans by winning those races. However, it does place a cap on your run's fan potential. The final consideration I would put forth when choosing a trainee would be to find a trainee whose career mode you find easy to complete. I love Super Creek as a racer and a character, but I find her training to be very annoying due to the mechanic that places a 5% failure rate on all trainings done during all of spring and summer of her classic year. I would also consider which running strategy you feel comfortable training. Anyone who has used Goldship knows that while she is very strong, her enclosure strategy can be very inconsistent, and inconsistency is something that you want to avoid when farming fans. You can still use her to farm fans, but you want to develop ways to make her more consistent through skills and other means. On the other hand, raising frontrunners can be effective since there is lower risk of them getting stuck behind other racers. However, you want to make sure that they have the stamina to win these races consistently. Pace chasers I find to be pretty consistent, especially if they are supported by strong stats from your trainings. Same with late surgers, though with late surgers, you want to make sure that they have enough power to make it to the front and not get blocked by the front runners and pace chasers. Find what you are comfortable with and experiment to see what you can consistently get first place with. With all of these considerations in mind, who would I recommend to farm fans with? I will go through a few options, so choose one that you have access to and that appeals to you. If I didn't mention your preferred one, it doesn't mean that I think they are unfit for this task. Use the principles that I describe in this video to determine if your trainee can get the job done and go with that. My personal favorite is Simbali Rudolph. Her required races include all but the Japan Cup in her classic year, meaning I don't have to think too much about when to run her optional races. I just make sure to note when the Japan Cup comes in classic year, while the rest of the training plays itself. The Tokyo Yushun, Senior Year Japan Cup, and Arima Kinen in both years are all run by default. I also find her running style to be consistent since she can perform well as both a pace chaser and a late surger. I feel confident in getting first place with her without fuss and have trained her more than any other trainee. Her 40th run actually provided my first 9-star inheritance, which is my profile Uma Musume. If you could find use for that, please feel free to follow my profile in-game and borrow her for your trainings. Oguri Cap can be useful as well, since she has access to so many different races due to her aptitudes. If you are seeking to run as many G1 races as possible, she is your pick. If you do decide to run with her, be aware of the following. First, you will want to include an inheritance factor to bring her long-distance aptitude to A. Doing so helps her performance in the Arima Kinen and any other long-distance races that you decide to pursue. Second, her objective races do not include the Tokyo Yushun and Senior Year Japan Cup by default. She does run Arima Kinen both years, but you want to keep track of the other high-priority races so that you can make sure that you don't miss them. And finally, she is required to run in the Mile Championship in late November of the classic year. This prevents you from running in the Japan Championship that year, which reduces potential total fans earned. If you are running her in 30 races, this is probably less of a concern, but I did want to mention it. With those considerations in mind, I find Oguri Cap to be very effortless to train. She easily gets first place in a variety of races, and you can run her in pretty much any G1 that is not a sprint. Later in this video, I will get into how many races I recommend you run per training in order to farm fans, and why I don't take the approach of running every G1 possible. On the budget side, Gold Ship is a perfectly acceptable option, especially if you are a fan of her. Again, you just need to make sure that you give her enough power and or the appropriate skills to perform consistently as an end closer. You will also want to keep careful track of which month you are in, as you will need to remember to optionally race in the Tokyo Yushun in Classic Year late May and in both Japan Cups in late
November.
Not a deal breaker, just something that you need to be aware of. Grass Wonder can be a good option, but you need to make sure that you raise her aptitude at medium distance to A in order to maximize stability. In addition, make sure that you keep track of the calendar in the last few months of senior year so that you don't forget to run her in the Japan Cup in late November. Last, I find her ability to run Pace Chaser or Late Surger appealing as well. Next, if you can train Mayuno Top Gun well, she can be a consistent fan farmer. Her tendency to want to run towards the front requires a lot of stamina, but thankfully this is slightly offset by her plus 20% boost to stamina during trainings and access to recovery skills once you level her up. You will need to remember to run her in the Tokyo Yushun and in both Japan Cups optionally, so be cognizant of that if you decide to use her. You can apply these same principles to the 1-star trainees as well. At present, the 1-stars that can be useful for this type of training are Agnes Takion, Winning Ticket, Machikani Fukukitaru, Nice Nature, and Meijiro Dian. Just note that if you run Agnes Takion, Winning Ticket, or Meijiro Dian, you will want to increase their aptitude in long distance to A. There are multiple other 3-stars that would do this job well, so go through your roster and find the options that you can employ. With the trainees selected, choose parents that can give the best stat boost for that trainee, which can help you complete the high priority and career objective races. Parents do not have a direct impact on fans earned, but they do help you win first place more often. What does have a major impact on your ability to earn fans are your support cards. If you go to the summary page of a particular support card, one of the support effects that you might see is a fan bonus. As discussed in the formula of fans earned, this bonus adds a fixed percentage increase on the amount of fans earned from winning races. Therefore, as much as possible, we want to choose support cards that will add to this fan bonus. There is a big caveat, however. While fan bonus is important, a much more important factor is how often you are getting first place in your target races. Getting second place, or worse, can have a devastating impact on your total fans gained. This means that while we want to bring support cards with a high fan bonus, we also want to make sure that we do not do so at the cost of consistently winning first place. A high-performing support card with a 10% fan bonus is better than one that has 20%, but whose inclusion in a deck would cause us to dip to second place or worse. You can experiment with different combinations to find the right balance for you. If your support card deck lets you break 90% fan bonus while winning easily, go for it. But if you have to drop to 70% or lower, that trade-off is worth it. Let's look at which support cards you can use to increase your support card fan bonus. As you might expect, the peak fan bonus of 20% is concentrated by SSR cards. However, many of the top-tier SR cards are able to compete and are much easier to obtain at high limit breaks than these SSRs. These high-value SRs include Daitaku Helios, Marvelous Sunday, Manhattan Cafe, and Agnes Takion. These cards are worth using on their own strength, and having a max fan bonus of 20% is icing on the top. Dropping down to 15% fan bonus opens options even further, with numerous SSRs, SRs, and even R rarity cards providing options at this level. You can view a list of support cards organized by fan bonus percentage by going to this link at GameTora. Once there, simply change the sort by box to fan bonus and make sure it is in descending order. Use this page as a starting point to search your support card roster for cards that can build a deck that maximizes fans earned. Once you have your support card deck set, simply enter the training and make sure to hit the target races. There are a few approaches to determine how often you race versus train. My approach is to run all of the trainees' career objective races and then to make sure that I hit every single high priority race for the Tokyo Yushun, Japan Cup, and Adamakinen. I take the remaining non racing periods as a chance to build up the trainee and increase her chance to win more races. If I have a non racing period where the training options are really bad, and there is also a G1 race that I can run for additional fans, then I will usually go ahead and run that race for more fans and consider those fans as a bonus. Using this approach, I was earning 400,000 fans at the low end and up to 550,000 fans at the high end while using Symboli Rudolph. The other method that you can use for trading is to run as many races as possible, preferably within G1 grade. As I mentioned earlier, Oguri Cap is especially useful for this. If you are successful in this, you can add well over 100,000 fans to the totals that I just mentioned. You will also earn upgrade materials as rewards from each of these races, which can be another bonus. While running as many G1, G2, and G3 races as possible can be a solid money strategy, I personally don't take that approach for a few reasons. First, it takes a lot more time. Between selecting races, watching results, and going through post-race dialogue, running 20 plus extra races adds a significant amount of time to each training. I prefer to hit the key fan thresholds and then move on. It's less efficient on resource use, but it fits how I like to play. If you don't mind the extra time and enjoy racing more, go for it. Second, racing this much can affect consistency. Racing gives lower stat gains than training, so if you over race, it can be harder to secure first place in key events. I prioritize training to stay strong enough to win when it really matters. That said, it's something you can test for yourself. See how many extra races you can fit in while still finishing consistently on top. Third, I'm also aiming for stronger inheritances. To increase my odds of getting a 3-star stat inheritance, I focus on getting as many career mode trainings completed as possible. In addition, training more helps stats reach that 600 point threshold, at which point it becomes eligible for 3-star inheritances. These two factors combine to increase the likelihood that I will be able to farm 3-star inheritances that can then be used to support later trainings. Racing more means fewer total runs and fewer chances at this overall, so I stick with the method that supports my longer-term goals. Ultimately, play how you enjoy. This is just the approach that works best for me. So in short, run only the priority races if you want a faster, simpler training session and a better shot at farming inheritance factors along the way. But if your focus is on maximizing fans, preserving training energy, and stacking up race rewards, consider entering as many G1 races as possible. Finally, let's cover Team Trials races. After completing a Team Trials matchup, all of your horse girls that participated will get a small amount of fans. This can range from as low as 50 to as high as 200 or more. The amount of fans received is dependent on that horse girl's score contribution, so high-performing racers get more fans. This is a negligible amount of fans on an individual level, but completing one Team Trials earlier for me granted just under 2K fans, and that was after a loss. Multiply this by the number of Team Trials that you run each day, and it isn't a bad bonus for something that you are doing anyway. However, it is negligible compared to what you earn in career mode, so I wouldn't focus on it too much. Farming fans in Uma Musume might seem like a simple numbers game at first, but as we've covered, there are a lot of decisions that go into doing it effectively. From picking the right trainee, to hitting the highest value races, to building a support deck that balances fan bonus and win consistency, every piece matters. Whether you're aiming for club rewards, Carat missions, or that satisfying 100 million fan title for your favorite girl, I hope this guide gave you the tools to chase those goals more efficiently. As always, feel free to test both the minimalist and race-heavy training styles and see which one works best for your playstyle. If you found this helpful, consider leaving a like or subscribing for more Uma Musume content. And if you have your own fan farming tips or a favorite trainee you swear by, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching, and best of luck out there on the track.